Hey there everybody, it's Mike DiLisio, and today I'm going to be taking a look at a game in the Itten Fun Brick line. This is Ninja Master from designer Knizia. Ninja Master is a speed, maybe dexterity game. It's very silly. Let's head to the table and let me show you how it plays. All right, here we see Ninja Master all set up and ready to go on the table. In the center, you've got the dice dojo, which is essentially where you're going to be rolling the dice. And on each of the kind of points of this dice dojo, you've got a different colored ninja that are also represented on these dice that you're going to be rolling. Each player is going to have a player board. You're going to start at 3 points. One player is going to have the shuriken and the ninja sword to begin the game, and then you've got a little player piece that goes along with your player board symbol, so that if there's ever any kind of a tie, you can kind of put together the tied pieces and randomly pick one to choose who breaks that tie. So, on the active player's turn, which is going to be the player who has the shuriken, they are going to be grabbing all of the dice that I have just strewn across the table, and they're going to be preparing to roll them into the dice dojo. While that is happening, all other players around the table are supposed to have their hands in a ninja pose, something along this line, so that they're all kind of in a ready for grabbing, because this is a speed game where you are going to be, depending upon what is rolled on the dice, trying to grab the different items around the table. The rules upon that is that you can only grab with one hand, and you'll only ever grab a maximum of 2 things. So you can grab one thing with your left hand, one thing with your right hand if you choose to. Once you touch something, that means that you've got it. So if you're going for that green and you realize that you made a mistake and you touch it, doesn't matter. You have to take that green ninja. Okay, so what are you looking at? Well, there's a few things. Once the active player rolls the dice into the dice dojo, there are a number of things that we need to look at. First of all, you'll look at the ninjas. Well, I'll talk about the ninjas. I don't know what you'll be looking at. You'll be looking at everything and getting caught up with what you're going to do. If you see a number of ninjas, that means that the associated ninja is going to be worth that many points. So in this case, the first person that grabs that pink ninja at the end of this round is going to get 2 points because there's 2 ninjas there. However, if there is a vanishing symbol of the same color of a ninja, so in other words, the green, if someone grabs the green ninja, it's going to be worth -1 point because this means that the ninja actually vanished and went away. But, so in this case, the green would be worth -1 and the blue would be worth -1. What happens in the case of the yellow ninja here, where you've got 2 ninjas showing and 2 vanishing symbols? That means that the second vanishing symbol cancels the first. The yellow ninja is now worth 2 points. All right. So in evaluating this right now, the pink ninja would be worth 2. The green ninja would be worth -1. The yellow ninja would be worth 2. The purple ninja didn't come up on the dice, so wouldn't be worth anything. The blue ninja would be worth -1. You also have shuriken and sword symbols. So if at any point there are more swords rolled than shuriken symbols, let me see if I can find another one. If something like this happens, where there are 2 swords and 1 shuriken, if somebody grabs the ninja sword, including the player who currently has it, they would be protecting the sword at that point, then they're going to get half of the sword holder's points rounded down. Now, at the beginning of the game, everyone starts with 3 points. But the sword is going to go to the player at the end of the round who has the most points. So other than the first round of the game, the sword will always be with the player that has the most amount of points. And if you take it from them, you're going to get half of their points. Or if you are the sword holder, you really want to grab it so you can protect the sword. What happens if instead you grab the sword and there are not more swords rolled than shurikens? Well, that's going to be -3 points for you. All right, so you have to be careful about just grabbing that sword, especially as at the end of the game, when you get closer to the end game trigger, which is 20 points, oftentimes it's going to be a mad dash to grab that sword. And hopefully you can protect it if you are the sword holder. So as I said, the game is going to be triggered at the end when one player reaches 20 points. At the end of the round, you'll be evaluating the points that are given for the different symbols on the dice. Whoever has the most points at the end of that round will get the sword. Whoever had the shuriken is going to get 1 point period, just for having it, and then the shuriken's going to pass clockwise to the next player. And you'll continue to do this until one player reaches 20 points. All right, well, that is Ninja Master. Let's head back over and let you know what we think. All right, so there you have it. That's Ninja Master. It is a very silly, simple game. There's not a lot that you need to explain rules-wise, and I think that's for its benefit. So it's when talking about this particular game, Ninja Master, I feel like it's important to understand that I'm going to be approaching this as, the whole package. I think I do that with all games, but it's especially important to talk about that when it comes to something like this, which is a bit of a novelty. Let's just put it right out there. This is a bit of a novelty. These games that come in these small boxes, there's a number in this line. And I've already reviewed one also by Rainer Knizia called Viking Seesaw. That is another kind of dexterity. That one's more of a stacking game. So these are games that are trying to fulfill a particular type of a niche, right? This kind of a small box. Again, they're a bit of a novelty just in their packaging. And so as far as that goes, the packaging and the components, well, I'm charmed by them. It's not going to be for everybody. A lot of people don't like irregular shaped boxes. And I get that. This isn't going to necessarily sit on a calyx, but it does, I think, fulfill its purpose very well. The packaging works. It's not terribly difficult to get the pieces back in the box. That's something that can be challenging with these smaller box games, as you feel like you're having to play a game of Tetris just to get them back in. Not a problem here. I think that the components are all very good. The nice wooden pieces, the Dice Dojo is easy to set up. The big chunky dice there, maybe a little lighter than I would expect for dice of this size, but honestly, they work fine. They roll well, and there's even a rule in place for what happens if they roll outside of the dojo. Essentially, you just kind of stop the round and reset it and go again. The wooden pieces for the ninjas and the shuriken and the ninja sword are all very, very satisfying, tactile, and of a good size that you can actually reach them, because that's a usability thing. In this game, essentially, what's going to happen is you're rolling the dice and then everyone's going to start grabbing stuff. And one thing I did not mention in the overview is that another aspect to the game is that one person, well, everybody can, but the first person to call out the number of ninjas that are on the table. So you count the total number of ninja faces that are showing, you shout that out, and that also is a way to gain points. I apologize for neglecting to mention that during the overview. And so you've got this situation around the table where people are holding that ninja pose, waiting for those dice to roll, and then essentially there's this mad grab. There's usually a little pause as everyone's kind of evaluating, although later in the game, it'll sometimes get to the point where you're literally devolving to, as soon as those dice are rolled, everyone's grabbing for that sword and hoping that there are more of those symbols showing so that they can steal half the points. And that is something you have to keep in mind, is that this is a game that is not, I don't feel, to be taken terribly seriously. This is really, to me, in the party game category. It is a dexterity game, yes. It is a speed game, yes. But it is essentially a party game, and you need to know that going in. If you're looking for any semblance of strategy, then you're looking in the wrong place. This is really a game about interactions around the table and just, kind of frantic, silly fun. And you have to be okay with the idea of two people grabbing something at the same time and knocking stuff over. And it's not the cleanest of tiebreakers and stuff. You just basically essentially grab the tokens, and whichever one comes out is going to be the winner of that tiebreaker. So it's not a game for rules lawyers. It's not a game for heavy strategy gamers. It is probably a very group-dependent game. That's another thing I should mention, is that if you go into this game with a group that is all on board with kind of this raucous party element, this kind of speed grabbing stuff, and laughing around the table and shouting out the number of ninjas and, wait, who said it first? I said it first, that kind of a thing, then you're going to have probably a really good time, because I feel like the game presents an opportunity for that type of an experience. However, if you've got a group that maybe is a little bit more hesitant to play these types of games, or people that don't know each other very well, perhaps, you might not be getting that same experience, because, you're hesitant to kind of grab something if someone else is there with you, perhaps, you know? So I do want to mention that there's a little bit of a group dependency that is likely going to show up for this game. I think that's true of many party games, but it's certainly true of Ninja Master. For me, you look, I'm charmed by the whole package. There's no question about it. I love the aesthetic of these It and Fun Brick games. I think that they have a very tactile element that for me as a gamer is extremely important. The look and the feel of a game for me are very important. This has a huge toy factor. You want to just kind of look at the pieces, hold the pieces, and that means something to me. If it does not mean something to you, then you really should keep that in mind, because that's a huge part of my enjoyment of this experience, is seeing it set up on the table. If you're with a group that is all kind of on board for this type of experience, I think it does it very well. I'm going to be giving Ninja Master an 8 out of 10, but I do, again, want to emphasize that this is going to be something that is very group dependent. It is very, very silly. It is fast, it's frantic, it's chaotic. If that's the type of experience that you're looking for, I think that you'll be very happy with Ninja Master. If you're looking for a more cerebral, you know, some party games can be a little more cerebral. This is not it. This is roll dice, grab stuff, and somebody's going to end up with 20 points and going to win. And hopefully everybody else had fun just trying to be involved in that process. All right, well, that's it for me. This is Mike DiLisio signing off from Dice Tower headquarters.